Amara's life had shifted in ways she never thought possible. Just a year ago, she was a struggling dancer, hustling through auditions in Lagos, her eyes filled with dreams too large for her little apartment. She was broke, but her heart burned with ambition. Now she lived in the penthouse of Chief Okoro's luxurious estate in Banana Island. Surrounded by silk sheets, diamond gifts, and the constant hum of money in the air. But here's the truth. Money was never her true goal. Fame was. She wanted her name to echo beyond the walls of Nigeria. She wanted New York, Paris, Johannesburg, and Dubai to know her name. She wanted to be remembered as Amara the star, not Amara the side chick of a wealthy billionaire. It started with small steps. Chief Okoro's connections opened doors for her. A Nollywood director owed him a favor, and just like that, Amara was cast as the lead dancer in a music video. The video went viral. Overnight, the world saw her beauty, her grace, her magnetic presence. Her Instagram followers jumped from 10,000 to 500,000. Brands wanted her. Directors called her. The spotlight had finally found her. But fame came with its own shadow. Okoro's shadow. At first, he was thrilled by her rise. He basked in the glow of her attention, flaunting her at private events, whispering in her ear, "You shine because I chose you." Never forget that. His words lingered like invisible chains. Chains she couldn't see, but could always feel. Amara smiled at him in public. But in private, she practiced harder, danced longer, and built her brand independently. Deep down, she refused to be remembered as just his mistress. Then came her big break. An American music producer discovered her on Instagram. He offered her a feature in a music video to be shot in Johannesburg. Amara nearly wept with joy. This was it. The beginning of global recognition. But when she told Chief Okoro, his face darkened. His voice was cold. "You think you can fly without me? Never forget whose money brought you here. If you go under my name, my security, my conditions." Her heart sank. He wasn't letting her go free, not entirely. She realized then her rise to fame would always be shadowed by him. But she was determined to break free, carefully, strategically. In Johannesburg, she stunned the world. Her performance was electric, the kind that made audiences rise to their feet. Social media exploded with her name. Amara, the African jewel, the goddess of rhythm. She was no longer just a local dancer. She was a global sensation. Interviews followed. Magazines wanted her on their covers. Fans screamed her name at airports. And yet, behind every photo op, behind every spotlight, Okoro's men stood watching. His wealth had funded her rise, but his shadow threatened to consume her. One evening, after a breathtaking performance in Cape Town, Amara sat by her hotel window, staring at the city lights. For the first time she whispered to herself, "Am I building my dream or his cage?" Her phone buzzed. A message from her younger brother in Enugu. His words cut straight to her heart. "Sister, the world is watching you. We are proud. Don't let anyone dim your light." Tears welled in her eyes. She knew then that her story wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to every young girl in Africa who dared to dream. The tension with Okoro grew. He became jealous of her newfound independence, her growing network of friends and colleagues outside his control. He wanted ownership. She wanted freedom. The battles between them were silent but deadly. Icy glares. Unspoken threats. Heavy silences in the rooms they once shared. But Amara was careful. She played the game like a chess master. She smiled when the cameras were on. She spoke of mentors and support without naming him directly. She gave interviews about her hard work, her resilience, her discipline. Behind the scenes, she built secret alliances with managers and agents who could protect her when the time came. The world began to see her as Amara the star, not Amara the mistress. Her face was on billboards in Lagos and Johannesburg. Her dances sparked global trends. But inside, she knew the fight wasn't over. One night, she signed her first international contract without Okoro's involvement. When he found out, he confronted her with fury in his eyes. But this time she stood tall. Calmly, she told him, "I will not be owned." His threats filled the room, but for the first time, her hands did not shake. The glitter of her fame had begun to overpower his shadow. The defining moment came at a continental award ceremony. Amara was crowned Africa's rising icon. The crowd roared her name. Cameras flashed endlessly. Afterward, in his private car, Okoro pulled her aside. His voice was low, dangerous. "You shine too brightly these days. Remember, Amara, stars can burn out if the wrong hand covers them." She looked him in the eye, her voice steady. "Chief, stars don't burn out when they are meant to light the world. They only grow stronger." For the first time, he had no reply. That silence told her everything. Her rise had begun to outgrow even his shadow. In the months that followed, Amara moved fully into independence. With her network of allies, she broke free of Okoro's grip. She signed global deals. She performed on international stages. She started a foundation for young African dancers, proving that dreams can come true without compromise. Her final triumph came in Paris. Under the bright lights of a packed arena, she danced with fire in her soul. The crowd screamed her name. Not as someone's mistress. Not as someone's possession. But as Amara the star. She was no longer living under the glitter of borrowed wealth or the shadow of another's power. She had become light strong enough to shine for others. And in that moment, she knew, true success is not glitter trapped in darkness. True success is light that grows, light that spreads, light that lifts others. That night, Amara finally understood. She had not only broken free. She had become the hope of a generation. Amara's star had risen, and the world was beginning to take notice. After the award in Cape Town, her name wasn't just trending in Nigeria or South Africa anymore, it was crossing oceans. American magazines called her the African jewel of dance. European producers wanted her in their shows. Even Bollywood directors sent her offers for collaborations. It felt unreal, but to Amara, it was the beginning of everything she had worked for. Chief Okoro still loomed in the background, his men stationed at every event, his influence visible in every deal. But Amara had learned the game. She smiled, played polite, and accepted his presence while slowly building her independence. Her younger brother in Enugu became her anchor. Every video call with him reminded her why she couldn't allow herself to be owned by anyone. His words, "Don't let anyone dim your light," played in her heart like a sacred rhythm. When she traveled to Paris for her first international performance, it felt like stepping into destiny. The Grand Theatre glowed with lights, the audience filled with critics, fans, and dignitaries. Amara danced with every ounce of soul she had, blending African traditional movements with contemporary styles. By the time she finished, the audience rose to its feet in thunderous applause. She wasn't just a dancer anymore. She was a cultural ambassador. After Paris came New York. She was invited to perform at a charity gala where she met influential figures in the music and film industries. Among them was the American music producer who had first discovered her online. He introduced her to managers who knew how to protect rising stars from exploitation. Quietly, behind the curtain, they began drafting contracts that would put her career into her own hands. It was dangerous to cross Chief Okoro, but Amara knew she needed to secure her freedom. Okoro noticed the shift. He called her late one night from Lagos. "Amara, I hear you are making deals without me. Remember who brought you here. Do not forget your place." Her voice trembled at first, but she steadied herself. Chief, you gave me a start, but the world belongs to those who dare to dance in it. I am no longer a shadow. I am a light. The silence on the other end was heavy. For the first time, she didn't fear it. Her fame soared higher. She appeared on magazine covers in London, was interviewed on popular American talk shows, and collaborated with a South African superstar on a viral dance challenge that shook TikTok worldwide. Her Instagram followers crossed 10 million. Every time she stepped out of an airport, screaming fans held up signs with her name. But her journey wasn't without struggle. The press loved to dig into her past, whispering about her relationship with Okoro. Headlines ran stories like, from billionaire's mistress to global icon, can Amara escape the shadow? She ignored the gossip, focusing on her craft. With the help of her new team, she started her own dance foundation for African children, providing scholarships for talented kids who couldn't afford training. Her younger brother became one of the first coordinators of the foundation. She flew him out to Lagos for the launch, and as he stood beside her, beaming with pride, Amara felt tears stain her eyes. "This is for us," she whispered to him. "For every child who dreams too big for the world to understand." Chief Okoro attended the launch as well, sitting in the front row in his embroidered agbada, his eyes unreadable. When reporters asked him about Amara's success, he smiled tightly and said, "She shines because I gave her light." But Amara knew the truth, she was shining because she refused to be caged. The battles between them shifted into silence. Okoro realized he couldn't control her anymore without destroying his own reputation. The world adored Amara too much. Any attempt to drag her down would make him the villain, and even billionaires feared public disgrace. Slowly, he began to fade from her spotlight, though his presence always lingered like a shadow she hadn't fully escaped. By the time Amara performed in Dubai, she had become more than a star, she was a symbol. Young African girls wrote her letters saying they wanted to be like her. Parents told their daughters, "See Amara. Work hard and dream, and you can be anything." She was no longer just dancing for herself. She was dancing for millions. At one global event in New York, she was asked to give a speech. Standing on stage, looking out at an audience filled with celebrities, leaders, and fans, she spoke from her heart. "I was once a girl in Lagos with dreams bigger than my apartment walls. The world told me I needed someone else's name to shine, but I learned that stars are born within us. I stand here not just as Amara, but as proof that every young girl in Africa and beyond can rise, no matter where she starts." The room erupted in applause. That speech was replayed around the world, solidifying her as not just an entertainer, but a role model. Her foundation grew, spreading across Nigeria, South Africa, and even reaching schools in Kenya and Ghana. International brands partnered with her, not just for her beauty, but for her authenticity. She refused to sell her soul, even when contracts dangled millions in front of her. "If it doesn't inspire the next generation, I won't do it," she told her managers. Chief Okoro watched her transformation from a distance. For years, he had been the puppeteer, pulling strings. Now, he was just another spectator to her greatness. Once, in a rare private meeting in Lagos, he admitted quietly, "Amara, you have become more than I ever imagined. Perhaps I was wrong to think I could keep you in my pocket." She looked at him, her gaze steady, and replied, "Chief, I am grateful for the start, but my destiny was never meant to be owned." He nodded, and for the first time, there was no anger in his eyes. Only acceptance. Love entered her life too. The American music producer who had first spotted her online became more than a business ally. They spent long nights in studios, creating projects, sharing stories of struggle and triumph. He respected her independence, never trying to control her, and slowly, their bond grew into something deeper. With him, Amara found not chains, but wings. Years passed, and Amara's legacy solidified. She became the first African dancer to headline a show at Madison Square Garden. She starred in a Hollywood film that celebrated African culture. She was listed among the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine. But most importantly, she returned home often, walking into dance schools in Lagos and Enugu, reminding children that greatness begins with a single step. Her younger brother blossomed too, studying business and helping manage her foundation. Together, they built a legacy that stretched beyond fame and money. Wherever Amara went, she carried Africa with her, weaving its stories into her dances, its rhythms into her performances. And though whispers of her past with Okoro still occasionally surfaced, they no longer defined her. She had outgrown the shadow. When people spoke of Amara, they didn't say Chief Okoro's mistress. They said, Amara, the star. Amara, the role model. Amara, the legend. One evening, years into her global success, Amara stood on the balcony of her own penthouse overlooking Lagos. Not the borrowed luxury of another, but a home she built with her own hands and choices. Her younger brother stood beside her, now a confident young man. Fans cheered far below as news spread of her latest world tour. She turned to him and said, "Remember when you told me not to let anyone dim my light?" He smiled. "You didn't just keep it shining, sister. You lit up the whole world." Amara looked out at the city lights, tears in her eyes, her heart full. She had conquered fame, escaped the shadow, and become a beacon for millions. This was more than success. This was destiny fulfilled. And in that moment, she knew, stars don't just burn bright. They guide others home.